Namaste. I'm making a series on understanding spiritual awakenings. This is the third part in the series. I'll post the link to the other two parts in the description box below. In today's topic, I'll be discussing the vagus nerve. It is important to understand how the vagus nerve transforms us spiritually. Many say that the vagus nerve is Kundalini. So, is that true? Is vagus nerve Kundalini or not? We will explore that in today's topic. The third aspect is what is the link between the vagus nerve, the Talu Chakra, and the 64 Yoginis that reside in it, and how do these Yoginis help us in spiritual evolution? Yogis who have awakened their Kundalini, they see a vision generally in their third eye. They see the snake standing on its tail. It is stretching right from the base of the spine till the Brahmarandra, that is the fontanel region here. The snake is lit up in their vision. And many gurus claim that this lit up snake is not the spine, rather, this is the vagus nerve. There are certain teachers, gurus, who propagate the idea that the right vagus nerve is the Kundalini, and that Kundalini it moves or uses this path when it is traveling through the body. They encourage their disciples or their students to focus on this particular nerve and to channel their entire energies or their attention onto this nerve, because they say that this is the nerve through which the Kundalini awakens. I do not agree with these gurus that Kundalini uses the right vagus nerve. But yes, I do agree that there is a kind of spiritual awakening that can happen in a person which is not a Kundalini awakening, but still, vagus nerve can help a person to evolve in one lifetime through certain practices, through the help of certain conscious energies, and the role played by Talu Chakra. This is the chakra that is positioned in between the Vishuddhi Chakra and the Agya Chakra. This is the Vishuddhi Chakra and this is the Agya Chakra. So Talu Chakra is in between both these chakras, and it is inside the Chitrini Nadi in your spine. So where is the exact position of this Talu Chakra? The uvula in your mouth, the little small tongue that dangles behind, that is connected to this Talu Chakra. And the position of the Talu Chakra is just behind it inside the spine within the brainstem area. Now, to understand whether vagus nerve is the Kundalini or whether Kundalini takes the spinal path, whether that is the path for Kundalini awakening process, we have to first understand the nervous system. Our nervous system, it is divided into two types. First is the central nervous system, which consists of the brain and the spine. And the second is the peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system, it consists of all those nerves which are not part of the brain or the spine, but they do emanate from the spinal cord and the brain. The peripheral nervous system is again divided into two types. The first is the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is in charge of certain activities in our body which we cannot consciously control. For example, our heartbeat, the rate of our respiration, the digestive juices our stomach produces. There are many things that happen in our stomach without our effort and which we cannot control. So all those kinds of activities come into the autonomic nervous system. This is again subdivided into sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system is the system that is active in you when you are aroused. Say, for example, you sense danger. You go into the fight and flight mode. That is, either you want to fight back or you want to run away. When you are in this state of mind, the sympathetic nervous system is active. And the parasympathetic nervous system is active when you are restful. This is the rest and digest uh, phase in which this parasympathetic nervous system is active. When you're calm, peaceful, when you're enjoying with your friends, you are generally in the parasympathetic mode. That is when you're not aroused. Again, the peripheral nervous system is divided into somatic nervous system. The somatic nervous system is a system which creates a communication channel between your sensory organs and your organs of action. That is, sensory organs are called Gyanendriya. That is the five senses that we have. And the organs of action, that is the karmendriya, things which allow you to move or which allow you to do certain activities, they are your karmendriyas. So the somatic nervous system creates a communication link between the karmendriyas and the gyanendriyas. For example, when you're walking on a street, you see a big pit in front of you, your eyes communicate to your brain that there's a pit in front of you. Immediately, the brain communicates to your leg to move aside so that communication goes. You may not be conscious of it happening, but you will step aside and you will avoid the pit. So, this kind of communication, which happens between the sensory organs and the organs of action, is what the somatic nervous system does. There are three important nadis in our body: the central sushumna, and then the Ida Nadi, which is the left channel, the Pingala Nadi, which is the right channel. These three nadis are present in your spinal area. The Ida and Pingala Nadi, they crisscross over each other. They start at the base of the spine and they end here. The points where they crisscross with each other is where the chakras are formed. In this three nadis, the Ida Nadi is connected to the parasympathetic nervous system, and the Pingala Nadi is connected to the sympathetic nervous system. In today's topic, we will be discussing the parasympathetic part of the nervous system, which is the calming part. This is a part of the autonomic nervous system, that is something which is not in our conscious control. And this again is part of the peripheral nervous system. Parasympathetic nervous system, it is in charge of your body when you are in a restful state. This is when saliva is produced, food is digested well. You're in an emotionally good state, you don't feel threatened, you're secured in your whatever corner you're sitting or whatever work you're doing, you have the sense of security. Whereas sympathetic nervous system gets activated when we feel threatened. Here, the heart starts pumping faster, you start breathing faster, pupils dilate. That is why when you see somebody frightened, you will see that their pupils are dilated. Then more sugar or glucose is released into the body. The person is now getting ready to either run away or to fight back. So this is a emotional state where you are no longer feeling secured. You feel that there is a threat in the situation. This kind of a threat can be experienced by a person even when there is no apparent threatful situation in front of him. That is, even when he is reliving his painful memories or his fearful memories, though nothing is happening right now with him in his real time, he is still undergoing all these changes in his body because he is reliving that fearful experience. So, this is when your sympathetic nervous system gets activated. Today's topic is the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the 10th cranial nerve, and this nerve, it originates in the brain stem, that is in this region here. That is where the Talu Chakra lies. This is actually a bunch of nerves, and these nerves, they run right from the head to the colon area of your body. This nerve, it connects the glands, the organs, the smooth muscles, and it is a communication highway between the brain and the various organs. So whatever is happening in the stomach or in the kidneys, the information of what is happening reaches your brain through the vagus nerve, and whatever signals the brain needs to send to the various organs and glands, it also moves to the vagus nerve. So this is a major communication highway. Apart from this, it even controls the muscles in the pharynx, the soft palate, the larynx, the throat area. And when you are speaking or when you are swallowing, you are using this vagus nerve. This vagus nerve is called as the wanderer because this is wandering throughout the body. For a person to have a good physical health, a balanced emotional and mental health, this vagus nerve should function smoothly. If the functioning of vagus nerve is affected by some reason, we will explore those reasons in this video, then the person's physical condition, mental condition, and emotional condition get totally affected. As I said earlier, Talu Chakra, it lies in this area where the vagus nerve emanates. Vagus nerve is actually a bunch of nerves. The first picture here on the left hand side, you can see a blue arrow which is pointing towards the brainstem area. This is the area where the spine is meeting with the brain, and it is called the medulla oblongata. And this medulla oblongata, it works as a junction between the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. It connects both of them. So here you can see that there are a bunch of nerves emanating. These bunch of nerves, they are connected to our sensory organs, the internal organs, the glands, the soft tissues. So the vagus nerve covers most part of the body. The second picture, you can see it very clearly, the position of the origin of the vagus nerve. This is right behind your uvula, and this is where the Talu Chakra resides. The Talu Chakra is a combination of silvery white petals which have certain amount of red in it. In this picture here, you can see it as an 8-petal lotus, but actually Talu Chakra is not 8-petal, it is 12-petaled. So when you are meditating on the Talu Chakra, you should imagine it as a lotus which is silvery white with red mixed in it, and this has 12 petals. And inside the Talu Chakra, you have the crescent moon. There is a connection between the uvula, the vagus nerve, and the Talu Chakra. When the vagus nerve is damaged in a person's body, then the external sign of it, you will see that the uvula and the person's mouth is also affected. Here, the first image is of the uvula in a healthy person's mouth. But once the vagus nerve gets damaged, then if you look at the second picture, you will see how the uvula is turned to one side. This means that the vagus nerve is damaged in that person's body. Though the vagus nerve may not be totally damaged, but still it may be negatively affected to a certain extent because of certain reasons that or certain circumstances that happen in our body. And the influence of the external situations also affect us. The vagus nerve can get affected when the person is undergoing certain medical treatments like chemotherapy. Some types of vaccinations or steroids affect the vagus nerve. Extended periods of trauma, physical stress, mental and emotional trauma, abuse, life shocks, uh, poor diet, poverty, and the sense or the reality of being exploited for many years by everybody around you, that also can damage your vagus nerve. So this person is put into situations where he is not feeling safe. And when this uh, sense of not being secured or not feeling safe in the body or in the situation or in your environment, it can create a problem in the vagus nerve functioning if this happens over a very long period of time. Improper vagus nerve functioning can affect us in many different ways. We may gain a lot of weight because of thyroid problems, or we may develop body pains, chronic fatigue, heart problems. As we've seen in the earlier pictures, vagus nerve is connected to various glands and organs in our body. So everything gets affected. The digestive tract gets affected. The blood sugar levels get affected. Then we have immunity issues. And mentally, also, a person gets forgetful. There's brain fog. He cannot take proper decisions. There is the sense of not being well, depression, anxiety, a lot of negative moods are experienced by swings in the state of hunger. Either he might feel uh, very hungry, overeating, or he may not feel like eating, or he may neglect his eating. Then problems with sleeping, body pains, leaky gut, many other issues. And all these issues, they just point to one thing, that is the vagus nerve is in imbalance. So, how do we know that our vagus nerve is imbalanced, and how does this affect us at an emotional level? The vagus nerve functioning is measured indirectly through your heart rate variability. What is heart rate variability and how is it measured? The amount of interval time between two heartbeats, this can be somewhere from 0.20 milliseconds to 0.200 milliseconds. The time gap between two heartbeats, the longer this is, the healthier the person is, the healthier his vagus nerve is. He has a high vagal tone. And when we have a healthy vagus nerve, we breathe about 10 to 12 times in a minute. But when we are anxious, we are frightened, we breathe faster. We breathe more number of times in a minute. And because of that, the interval period between two heartbeats is less. That is low heart variability. So when somebody is having a low heart variability, they are anxious, they're fearful, they don't feel secure. And this over a period of time affects your vagus nerve. But when somebody is feeling secure, they're happy, their heart rate variability is high. That is, they breathe less times in a minute. The gap between two heartbeats is much higher, especially those who are into meditation. When they do deep breathing into their belly, they bring down the number of times they breathe in a minute. They bring it down to maybe 7 times or 8 times in a minute. Then the heart rate variability is much higher. So when people are meditating regularly, or when they are focusing on their breath and they're taking fewer breaths in a minute, in general, or when they're in a very peaceful place, we naturally take fewer breaths in a minute. Then these people are in a place where they are at peace and they trust life, they trust their body, and they feel secure. So when you feel secure, your vagus nerve is functioning very well. So there's a direct link between how secure you feel and how well your vagus nerve is functioning. To understand the effect that prolonged stress or trauma has over a person, uh, there is a theory called the polyvagal theory. This is put forth by Stephen Porges, and this theory explains very well why people who are traumatized over a period of time, they are caught up in those loops where they are causing pain to themselves further in their life. They are again attracting those situations into their life. And because of these repetitive patterns, they go further into deep depression or trauma. and they do not know how to deal with this excessive trauma in their life. It seems like they're caught up in a never ending loop of trauma. Many experience many years of depression, loneliness. They feel trapped, helpless in life, and they don't see a doorway out of all this. Many resort to suicide during this phase of their life because they don't know how to cope with life. They've given up with life. To understand why this happens, this theory uh, puts forth a very beautiful description of how a person experiences these shifts and how we can bring that person back to normalcy when he is stuck in this trauma loop. Here you have three colors. The lower part is the green color, which is the social engagement zone. The yellow part is where your sympathetic nervous system is active. That is where you are aroused. You feel threatened. So you either fight or flight. Next is the third zone, which is the freeze zone. So when we feel threatened, we either fight or we run away, that is flight. Or the third thing is that we freeze in that situation. There are two vagus nerves in our body. One is the dorsal vagus nerve and the other is the ventral vagus nerve. In reptiles, they don't have the ventral vagus nerve. They only have the dorsal vagus nerve. You have seen videos where animals, when they come face to face with danger, they don't run away, they don't fight back, rather they freeze in that particular situation. Even when the threat goes away, they're still frozen, they don't come back to normalcy immediately. They take some minutes before they can again regain control over their body. So when they are in this phase where they're frozen with fear or trauma, the dorsal vagal nerve is active. It is taking charge of their body. They don't have a ventral vagal nerve. But in mammals, there is a second vagal nerve, which is the ventral vagal nerve. And this nerve is responsible for our social bonding. Even in humans and certain type of animals which live in groups, they're able to live in groups, hunt together, eat together, work together, uh, and they live all their life as part of a social group. This is because they have the ventral vagal nerve in them. So this ventral vagal nerve, it gives the person a sense of security. When somebody is part of a group, they know that their needs will be taken care of. They know they will not go hungry. They know that they are secure and safe in that group. So it's all about safety, security, and survival. Apart from that, there is a sense of belonging too. So humans who are generally normal, calm, relaxed, they have a good upbringing, friends, family, they are working in the green zone. This is the parasympathetic area, the ventral vagal nerve. Say some person who's generally living in the green zone, he experiences threat from the external situation, he goes into the yellow zone. So when the threat passes away, he is back into the ventral vagus nerve, the green area, and he is again back with his friends and family. This type of a person had a healthy upbringing. He had a secured family. He was taken care of by people around him, and he is generally working from a place of trust and a place of security. The dorsal vagal nerve in humans, it generally works in the background. It takes care of the lower organs in our body. This allows us to pendulate between relaxation and arousal. But in few individuals who have undergone a lot of trauma in life, physical stress, poverty, who've been exploited a lot, they are not feeling secure because of their past experiences. So even when the threat is removed from their life, they're still caught up in those old painful memories, old fearful memories. And the reason for that is they are not working from that green area, that is the ventral vagal nerve area. Because the sympathetic nervous system was aroused for a longer period of time, maybe through many years. Say, for example, a boy was an unwanted child. His mother did not love him or take care of his needs. Even his basic needs were seen as luxuries by his mother. He did not have anybody in his life whom he could trust. People exploited him. He was abused. When he grew up to being a young man, he had a history of trauma and abuse. Because of this, he was not very mentally or emotionally in a safe place. Later on in his life, maybe he was exploited at work, maybe his girlfriend exploited him. He was exploited all through his life. Nobody, he never felt loved or he never felt secured. So, because of this, his sympathetic nervous system was constantly aroused. He was never in the green zone, he was hardly in the green zone. Because of that prolonged arousal state in his body, what happens is now he moves into the red zone. He moves into the dorsal vagal nerve. So he freezes. He freezes whenever he feels that threat, or whenever he is caught up in this loop of thoughts of past trauma or past fears. He is caught up in that loop and he is living in the dorsal vagal nerve area, that is the red area. He has frozen there. Because of this, he is constantly traumatizing himself with old memories. He feels defenseless, he feels helpless, he feels victimized always. He is not able to take proper decisions, he feels confused. He's attracting more of such people into his life. It's like his brain, the logical aspect of his brain has shut down. And whatever decisions he takes in life, they find their source in his past traumas. He's sort of reliving those experiences by attracting all those wrong people into his life again and again. When this dorsal vagal nerve area is active in the person, he goes into deep depression. He will feel suicidal. He feels there is nothing much left in life for him. Nobody loves him. Nobody cares for him. There is no value in living this life. And many in this situation, they feel trapped. They feel there is no way out. They don't know how to come out of that inner traumatic loop that is running inside their head. Because of that, many even attempt or commit suicides. This happens because of the prolonged arousal of the sympathetic nervous system. If this person who's caught up in the freeze area, if he is helped to come out of that area, then he will come out of this mindset where he feels that he is not loved, he is not valued, that depression, that suicidal thoughts. He'll come out of all those thoughts and he will start coping with his past. He'll start working through his past. And then he can slowly, with trust and love, he can move into the green area, which is the ventral vagal nerve area. And once he is in that area, he will learn to trust life, flow with life, and enjoy life, trust it, work from a place of inner security. And he can meet people and situations, external conditions from that place of inner security. There is an activity which will help the person who is caught up in the dorsal vagal nerve. This activity will bring that person back immediately. It will make that inner shift in the nervous system so that that person who's caught up in the dorsal vagal nerve mode, the freeze mode, immediately shifts back into the sympathetic area, from where he can, with slowly changing himself, understanding life, working through trauma, move into the green area, that is the ventral vagal nerve area. And the activity for somebody who's caught up in deep trauma and who's reliving their past fears and pain, or for somebody who is undergoing a crisis in life and where thoughts are haunting them, they need some reprieve from those thoughts and a return to normalcy in life. This activity will really help them. So in this activity, what we do is you can lie down on the ground in or on a bed, wherever you're comfortable. You should lie down in this pose, but your hands lock them like this and then place them under your head like this. But sleep in this pose. And once you're in this pose, what you're supposed to do is look straight first. Then you will slowly shift your gaze to the right side without turning your head. You will stay in that position for about half a minute, or even you can extend the amount of time until you yawn or until you sigh. You can look towards one direction, and after that you can have to return back to normalcy, and you will do the same activity now looking towards the left side. So I will start. This is how you do it. Look straight, then turn your eyeballs right, but keep your face looking straight. Now look straight. This time you will look to your left side. Now come back to the straight position. You can do this few times, or you can do this whenever you're stressed out. When you're doing this activity first time, you will immediately notice that your heart beat, it is changing. The production of saliva in your mouth is increasing. Your breathing rate has come down. So you will immediately notice these changes in your body. This activity immediately gets the person out of the dorsal vagal mode. Now this person is able to understand that or accept the fact that he has undergone certain type of trauma or distress in his life. He works through his various issues. Then he slowly moves down into that ventral vagal area, where now he learns to trust life. He, because of this change, he is able to come out or heal from his past trauma. For somebody undergoing stress in life, a lot of psychological upheavals or physical problems because of vagus nerve issues, they can stimulate their vagus nerve in various ways. Even for a person who's healthy, stimulation of vagus nerve will bring about even more higher sense of security and more balanced physical and emotional functioning of the body. So how do you do this? As I said earlier, deep belly breathing is one way of stimulating the vagus nerve. Apart from that, Om. When you meditate on Om or mantra chanting, it helps to stimulate the vagus nerve. Supplements, probiotics, zinc, enemas. They are even these ASMR, that is the autonomous sensory meridian response, various sounds which are very pleasing to us, listening to voices which are whispering, or certain tones or certain noises which are very pleasing when you listen to them. You have many videos on YouTube with ASMR soundtracks. These will help you to relax. Certain type of relaxing music, gargling, yawning, coughing, singing especially helps the vagus nerve. It stimulates it. Spending good time with friends, making time in your life for your friends and family, going out, enjoying life, being part of a group or a part of a community, working with people. Then there's certain types of breathing, like deep belly breathing and Ujjaini breathing. Even that will help you to improve the functioning of your vagus nerve. Certain types of massages which are medicinal in nature, the neck massage, ear massage. For example, you can just massage very gently your neck because your vagus nerve moves like this into your face. You can very gently massage your face and neck, very gently massage them. Then your vagus nerve moves behind your ears and a little here in the front. So gently use your ring fingers so that you don't put much pressure over your nerves. Gently massage the back of your ears, the front of your ears. Massage your ear lobes. Very gently massage them. Then use your fingers and very gently rotate those fingers clockwise and anti-clockwise into your ears. Do it very gently. This way you are massaging your vagus nerve for higher performance. Sleeping on the right side also stimulates the vagus nerve. As you all are aware, we have many koshas. That's the physical sheath, then you have the pranic sheath, the mental sheath, the intellectual sheath, the bliss sheath, and then the jivatma or the individual consciousness. So the functioning of the physical body is dependent on the flow of vayus in the pranic body. The vayu that is connected with throat and healthy functioning of the vagus nerve is the udana vayu. Udana vayu flows from the throat up into the head. It even circulates inside the head. So when it is gently circulating inside the head and the throat area, you have a very strong vagus nerve functioning or a very healthy vagus nerve functioning. When this flow is not strong enough, then the functioning of the vagus nerve is weak. To enhance the functioning of the vagus nerve, certain types of yogasanas or postures which you can adopt. The first is the Sarvangasana, Shirsasana, and then Halasana. These types of asanas, they will help you to improve the flow of Udana Vayu in your body. Another way of strengthening your vagus nerve is by Ujjayi breathing. In Ujjayi breathing method, you use a technique where you are vibrating this area. And as I said, Talu Chakra is in this area. So the effect of this breathing is on the Talu Chakra also. There are different ways of doing this breathing, but the method that I am showing you right now is the one in which I am inhaling, but I'm not retaining the air, I'm exhaling immediately. In this technique, it is better to keep your exhale time maybe a second or two longer than your inhalation time. In this method, you will constrict your neck region slightly. Don't do it too hard. Slightly constrict your neck area and try to breathe in and breathe out through this constricted neck region. When you are doing this, you will hear something like the sound of an ocean emanating from your breath. This is called Ujjayi breathing. So this is how you do it. Sit straight and or in whatever pose you are comfortable. Constrict your neck, breathe in, and then same way breathe out. When I'm doing this, you will hear the sound of the ocean emanating from my breath. You can do this many number of times, and you will notice that the effect of this vibration is in this area, in your Talu Chakra area. I've already established the connection between the Talu Chakra and the vagus nerve. Your Talu Chakra is the center of inner healing, the healing that happens over many different lifetimes. That type of healing, when that is complete, then your Talu Chakra will open for you. And the deities or the conscious energies that are present in this chakra will help you to heal yourself. So, the way of meditating on this chakra is that you imagine the chakra with 12 silvery red petals. Inside the chakra, you have the crescent moon, and inside the chakra, you have the Amrita or the elixir. You can meditate over the white moon, which is dripping with nectar, or you can meditate on the void inside the chakra. There is a void inside this chakra. But the second type of meditation should always be done under the supervision of a guru. Now, why does the Anu Chakra contain the nectar? The reason for that is the chakra above the Talu Chakra here in the image is the Agya Chakra, that is this region. The upper part of the Agya Chakra, you have the Bindu Chakra or the Bindu. The Bindu Chakra is here, okay, and this is connected to the pineal gland. So when the Bindu Chakra gets activated, the Amrita or the elixir starts dripping from this area. And the elixir that is dripping through this area, it falls into the Talu Chakra. Talu Chakra, it stores this elixir before it can be sent forth into the Vishuddhi Chakra. So this place is like a reservoir for the Amrita. While meditating on your Talu Chakra, you can try using the Kichari Mudra. The Kechari Mudra is when you roll back your tongue and you push it into the nasal cavity. Look at the second picture. That is how you push your tongue back into the nasal cavity. And this blocks the area through which the Amrita drips into the throat. Try using this particular pose when you are focusing or meditating over your Talu Chakra. Or alternatively, you can roll out your tongue totally and press the palate gently with the tongue. This way also you will be stimulating your Talu Chakra when you are meditating. What is the connection between the vagus nerve and spiritual evolution? Generally, when somebody undergoes a Kundalini awakening, the root of the Kundalini is through the spine. But there is another way of spiritually evolving even when the Kundalini is not awakened in the body. Awakening the Kundalini is a very lengthy process. It needs the supervision of a guru, and it is still a rare event. But for a normal person who does not have the luxury of having a guru, but still is keen on spiritually evolving, vagus nerve is the path for the spiritual evolution. A normal person lives in the lower three chakras. I always say this. He's caught up in the external life. He lives from his fight and flight mode. He keeps on creating karma. He doesn't learn his lessons. He's caught up in his loops of behavior, his issues, and he sees life from a very limited perspective. For this type of a man to evolve in one lifetime, this is within his reach when he is trying to do this through the vagus nerve. So vagus nerve can be a channel through which you can spiritually evolve. What happens is you can stimulate your vagus nerve through various methods, the methods which I mentioned earlier. And when you stimulate your vagus nerve, you are doing your meditative practices, mantra chanting, you are focusing on the Talu Chakra. I'll even talk about the different deities or conscious energies which are there that will help you to transform your energy from a lower level to a higher level. These conscious energies will help you here. When you take this path, you will notice that the vagus nerve functioning improves. When the vagus nerve is functioning healthily, and the concerned glands, organs, everything are functioning well. I spoke about the Udana Vayu. The Udana Vayu goes from the neck up and it rotates inside the head also. So this Vayu becomes strong, and when this Vayu is flowing perfectly, the person's clarity of thought is very high. His speech comes out very strong. He has a very magnetic personality that will draw people towards him. When the vagus nerve is functioning well, the person is generally functioning from a state of inner security. And because he feels very secure enough, many of those issues which are part of his personality get cleared out. He starts operating from the level of higher chakras, that is, his perspective towards life changes. And as his perspective towards life changes, the inner functioning of the body changes. As I said earlier, vagus nerve is connected to all the glands, all the organs in your body. This nerve even moves into your head. So the hormonal production also, it gets affected by the vagus nerve functioning. Once the person feels secure, has a higher perspective about life. He has come out of his lower egoic qualities because he has a healthy vagus nerve, a healthy functioning mind. He trusts life. He's secure in his place. Now he is able to help others because of his strong inner security, strong inner intelligence, the charishma he holds. He is able to help others. He is able to create things in life because the Udana Vayu is all about the creative abilities. Your Udana Vayu, it affects your Vishuddhi Chakra and your Agya Chakra also. So now this person's intuition and other abilities also are enhanced because of the higher vagal tone. He starts opening up. He only speaks from his inner truth now. Inner truth and living it is a sattvic quality. When a person develops one sattvic quality, other sattvic qualities follow. Sattvic qualities are those qualities which pull a person out of the lower animalistic nature. Truth, joy, happiness, peace, knowledge, these are all sattvic qualities. So when somebody develops this strong urge to live their truth, they just want to be in that zone where they're living their life from their inner essence and truth. They start attracting other things also into their life, like abundance, peace, joy, trustful relationships. Now they're come out of those loops of trauma or those loops of lower thinking which were attracting negative situations or bad situations into their life. Accordingly, the hormonal production in the body also changes. The body is producing better quality hormones. The body's functioning is at a different level right now. This person at this level ideally has the body mind that is an excellent foundation for a Kundalini awakening process. Even if he has not had the Kundalini awakening process, the Vayus in his body are flowing so nicely, so correctly, because when you live your life correctly, the Vayus flow correctly in your body. They move strong because the quality of life is at a different level right now. He is healed through his past. As I said earlier, the Udana Vayu flows from the neck up. There's another Vayu called the Vyana Vayu. The Vyana Vayu it circulates throughout the body. A person at this level, if he takes up certain types of spiritual practices like meditation or mantra chanting or whatever that is conducive to his spiritual path, in certain stages of these spiritual practices, he may, maybe once or twice in his life, experience the Vyana Vayu suddenly gushing up out of his body. This Vyana Vayu that is gushing up out of his body will take his awareness out of his body. This person will experience brief periods of states which are of void in nature or samadhi states. After he returns from these states that might last few seconds, he may experience a lot of kriyas in his body. And when somebody is advancing spiritually through the uh, vagus nerve, they too will see serpents in their dream. Because as I said in my earlier video, serpentine energy, it represents your inner spiritual energy. When your inner spiritual energy is growing, you will see these serpents in your dreams. When somebody has a Kundalini awakening, they will have prolonged states of samadhi. And many of these people, they can go into their states of samadhi whenever they want to. But for somebody who has had a spiritual awakening, they can experience these states for brief seconds. It is like looking at the picture from a small window. Maybe you cannot open the door and go out, but you still have access to the window. And you have a brief look into that experience. So that is what happens here. So the Vyana Vayu rises up and takes a person's awareness out of the body into the states of void or the samadhi states for few seconds of time. But that is life changing. The person knows there's something more to life than what is at the physical level. The vagus nerve, it increases the connection between the mind and heart. Heart opens up. This person feels a lot of uh, kindness, lot of love, lot of trust. He feels that he needs to be of help or service to others. He feels very high emotions like joy and deep peace. Then the vagus nerve further, it connects to the gut region also. So there is this gut awakening also. Our intuition, it is there at the gut region, especially the small intestines. You can call it the second brain. When you have a gut feeling that something is going to happen, that type of intuition or the foreseeing of things, it comes from your gut area. That is why yogis eat little food so that they can keep their stomach track intestines empty. When people keep on eating food, they're clogging their stomach and intestines with a lot of food and the waste matter that is there. So their intuition is not working. But once you become healthy in body, mind, your vagus nerve is functioning well, you will not eat much food. The body is working at an optimal level. So it uses less energy. And because of that, your gut instincts are working even better now. So this person has a wonderful working system in his body, and this is happening through the vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve connects all the body parts and it even moves into your brain. So certain psychic areas in your brain can get activated because of the activity that is happening, the high activity that is happening in your vagus nerve. Now I would like to address the question is the vagus nerve, the Kundalini path. Firstly, Kundalini is not a nerve. When you're calling Kundalini a nerve, you're reducing its capacity. You're bringing it down to a physical level. And the vagus nerve only represents the parasympathetic nervous system. So when you're calling Kundalini the right vagus nerve, you are restricting its power only to the parasympathetic aspect of the body. Whereas Kundalini holds total power over you. It holds power over your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body, your bliss bodies. It is in total control of you. So when you restrict its performance or its path to just a nerve, you are restricting that great power to a particular nerve in your body, which is physical in nature. But Kundalini is not physical, it is subtle. For example, we use our brain to think. The nerves help us in this activity. But if I would cut open my head, I will not see thoughts inside my head because thoughts are subtle in nature. In the same way, Kundalini is not physical in nature, it is subtle in nature. And this is part of our Pranamaya Kosha or the Pranikshit. So the Kundalini channel that the yogis see, or the Kundalini snake that yogis see in their vision, that it is standing on their tail, that is the spine and not the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve, it starts at the brainstem area, it proceeds into the brain, and then it moves down into the lower intestines. It goes below that into the colon area. This is why the people who argue that vagus nerve is the path of Kundalini, they say that this is the only nerve that moves through the entire body. It has control over various autonomic functions, because earlier we've seen that the parasympathetic nervous system comes under the autonomic nervous system function. So because this is autonomic and it is spread throughout the body, vagus nerve is the Kundalini nerve. This is their argument. And they further argue that if the spine is the path through which Kundalini moves and goes up, there is a space between the heart and the spine, where the spine is moving away from the heart. You can see it is curved at the heart area. So they say that if the spine has the Anahata Chakra, then there is no connection between the Anahata Chakra and the heart. So the Kundalini has to move through the heart and not through the spine. This is their another argument. Then the third argument is the parasympathetic nervous system comes under the autonomic nervous system. It simply means that we can consciously control our heartbeat, our breathing pattern, and many other autonomic actions inside our body once we have a total Kundalini awakening. A yogi can do that. So the argument is that because the parasympathetic nervous system is part of the autonomic nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system can control the heartbeat, the various other functions in the body, and these come into the conscious control of the yogi when the Kundalini awakens through the vagus nerve. And if the Kundalini would move through the spine, you can see that the spine comes under the central nervous system. If Kundalini would wake up and move through the spine, then the person will not be able to control the autonomic actions of the body. This is another argument which they put forth. All these arguments can be countered and answered properly when somebody has a Kundalini awakening. So the idea that the right vagus nerve is the path of Kundalini is totally wrong. And the reason it is wrong is because, firstly, the vagus nerve, it originates in the brainstem area and it spreads throughout the body. But it does not reach the Brahmarandra here, because the Kundalini which lies at the base of the spine, this is the tailbone that is there in the first picture. At the base of the tailbone, it is below the phylum terminale, much below that you have the Kundalini in the subtle body. From here she rises. Second picture, you can see the orange arrow at the bottom. That is where the Kundalini resides. She moves through the spine when she is aroused. And the blue arrow at the top, that is where the Brahmarandra is. She has to pierce the Brahmarandra and come out of the body, because the crown chakra, it is on top of the body. It is not inside the body. It is like a helmet over the top of the head. But if you look at the third picture, the vagus nerve is not going down to the tailbone area. It is ending at the colon area, somewhere near the Muladhara chakra. And it is not going up till the Brahmarandra. So the very entry and exit area of the Kundalini, they are not there in the structure of the vagus nerve. Secondly, the Kundalini, though it moves through the spine, it still makes a connection with the heart. And this happens when it moves through the spine, it comes and makes its base here at the Agya Chakra. She sits here. And sitting here, she starts taking all the controls of the body into her hand. And from here, she controls the heart. So when she's sitting in this area, the person will experience a heart awakening. She directs the vayus and various nerve impulses in the body sitting in this area. And once she is in the Agya Chakra, the heart awakening of the person starts. Next, the vagus nerve. It moves through the side up into the facial area. But whereas Kundalini, in my own experience, it moves through the spine, and exactly at this area, it is still in the spinal area. It is not moving through the sides. So for that reason also, I refute the argument that Kundalini is the right vagus nerve. It moves through the spine. So that is the correct way in which the Kundalini moves in the body. And as I said earlier, if somebody is experiencing the activation of vagus nerve, or they feel a lot of neurons firing in their vagus nerve, then please understand that you're having a spiritual awakening through the vagus nerve, and this is not a Kundalini awakening. The structure of our subtle body. You have the Sahasrara at the top, which is like a helmet over the head, and to reach the Sahasrara, the Brahmarandra, which is in this fontanel region, has to be pierced by Kundalini. After piercing through that alone, Kundalini can reach Sahasrara. So that is a major event which you cannot miss out when you are undergoing this process. The Sahasrara chakra, which is a 1,000-petal lotus, it is connected to the lower chakras. The lower chakra also have petals. So when the Kundalini Shakti, she reaches the Agya Chakra, that is this area, the top portion of the Agya Chakra, you have the pineal gland. So when she's sitting a little below that area, she sits there and she starts taking control of the entire body. The Bindu Chakra, which you see here in the picture, once Kundalini moves through that Bindu or the portal, she is going beyond time and space. So before she goes beyond the time and space, she sits in this region and she starts repairing the body. Some of them have difficult Kundalini risings, so the physical body, the subtle body can experience some kind of a damage, or maybe they need to be renewed, they need to be energized. So whatever it is, Kundalini, she sits at this level. Sitting there, she takes charge of the body and she starts repairing it. And how does she do it? She uses the Vayus. The Vayus are her servants. She directs the Vayus sitting at that area to move through the body and to energize, to repair the body. Kundalini is the biggest doctor. She will repair your physical container, she will repair the emotional, mental container, she will energize the body. She is the biggest psychologist or the psychiatrist in this world. So the brain centers which are there inside our head, they are connected to the various chakras in our body. For example, this area is the Muladhara area that is connected to your brain centers. This area is the Swadhisthana. This area Manipura, Nahata. This is Vishuddhi and this is the Agya Chakra. So when the Vayus are cleaning the brain centers at that area, you will experience lot of chakra activity at the corresponding chakra area. For example, if I'm experiencing a lot of Vayu movement here or brain activity here, then simultaneously I will experience that happening in my Vishuddhi chakra. So the Vayus moving in the head start cleaning the brain centers, opening up the brain centers, activating the brain centers, energizing the brain centers. And this Kundalini Shakti sitting there, she starts uh, making the body strong. She takes in all functions of the body into her hands. So the Sahasrara chakra, it has a way of communicating with the lower chakras. If you think of the Sahasrara chakra as a central sun, then the rays of the central sun, they fall onto the lower chakras. And the communication between the Sahasrara chakra and the lower chakras, they happen through these rays. Apart from the light rays, Sahasrara chakra can communicate with the corresponding chakra through a type of coding. That is, there are these letters which are phonetics, certain types of sounds. So every chakra in your body has certain petals. On top of these petals, you have certain phonetics sounds that are there, like ka, va, la, a. So the same petals are there present at the Sahasrara chakra level also, but 20 times more. So when the brain centers are getting cleared out and Sahasrara chakra is also clearing out simultaneously because of the activity happening in the brain, when certain petals get cleared out of karmic impressions, those petals are energized, the power is put into those petals, the same activity happens at the lower level. Now, how does this activity reflect in the physical body? Because your various layers or koshas, they work together. So when some activity is happening at the subtle level, it gets reflected in some way in the physical level. So when the Sahasrara chakra is working along with the lower chakras, and there's a lot of communication happening between the brain centers and the lower chakra, this is experienced in the body of the person who has had a Kundalini awakening through the vagus nerve. This is where the vagus nerve plays a role in the Kundalini awakening process. So when the brain centers are getting cleared out and when the chakras are getting cleared out simultaneously, at the physical level, you will see that the neurons between these brain centers and the chakra points in your body or the various glands and organs that are connected with the chakra, you will see a lot of neuron firing happening in that area. Lot of communication going up and down. When this was happening with me, my Kundalini Shakti was sitting here in the Agya Chakra and she was directing the Vayu sitting there. During the night time, especially when I was sleeping, I could feel my vagal nerves. They were electrified, electricity running through them. The neurons were firing simultaneously, continuously firing, switching off. And a lot of information was moving from the corresponding brain center to that location in the physical body where the chakra is present. For example, when I had a lot of activity happening in this area, which is the Muladhara area, I would have that electric impulse run up and down to the bottom of my spine because that is where the Muladhara is. So at this level, the vagus nerve plays a major role in bringing about a total transformation by connecting the higher Sahasrara chakra to the lower chakras in your body. This is happening at the physical level because whatever is happening at the subtle level gets mirrored in some physical form in your physical body. Your vagus nerve is connected with the Talu Chakra. In the picture here, you can see the Talu Chakra between the pineal gland and the throat chakra. You see a red spot, just look behind the red spot. That is where the Talu Chakra is, the purple dot. The Talu Chakra, it plays a major role here in the Kundalini awakening process. If I have to dip into my own experience, when my Kundalini Shakti was rising up, it passed through the Talu Chakra. I could see certain deities in that chakra, about 4 or 5 Yoginis. I saw them as black and white images, but I could not make out who was who. And I saw them for a very brief period of time. I did not have the time to study those images. Once Kundalini moves up and now she's residing at the Agya Chakra and she's working through your lower body and clearing out the container. As I said earlier, I was experiencing a lot of the vagal nerve activity happening in my body. And then my Talu Chakra started vibrating a lot. Intense vibration in this area inside, just behind my uvula. My uvula was electrified. It felt like somebody put an electric cord into my uvula, into my upper palate. Totally electrified. And then I heard this message in my head that you are healed. You are healed from many lifetimes of emotional baggage. Nothing of your past, that is the past uh, events of this lifetime or the past lifetimes, will not affect you hereafter. You are totally and completely healed now. That is when I understood the relationship between Talu Chakra and complete healing. So, how does this inner healing happen, and what is the connection between inner healing and Talu Chakra? The Talu Chakra, as I said earlier, has certain conscious energies. These are the Ashtamatrikas: Brahmani, Vaishnavi, Maheshwari, Indrani, Kaumari, Varahi, Chamundi, Narsimhi. These Ashtamatrikas are the emanations of goddess Kali. These Ashtamatrikas, the language, the phonetics of Sanskrit or any other language, they have come from these Ashtamatrikas. The basic phonetics sounds that we all use in a language, any language in this world, you use certain phonetics like ka, wa, la, ba, ma, e, u. All these phonetic sounds, they all emanate from these Ashtamatrikas. They are the seat of these uh, phonetics. And the ability to think in language, to speak in language, to experience the external world, to absorb the external world in form of language, to communicate with others with language. This entire structure of language at the physical and at the psychological level, it all comes because of these matrikas. These matrikas help you to look and understand, communicate with others around you, or this look at this world and understand this world through the medium of language. If we don't have a language, we cannot find a way to connect with the reality or with the people, or even we cannot connect with ourselves. So this ability comes from these matrikas. The various phonetic sounds, as I said earlier, are there written on the petals of the lower six chakras, that is the Muladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddhi, and Agnya Chakra. You are able to pronounce a sound because you have that ability in a particular chakra petal. For example, Muladhara has Sa in it. You are able to say Sa because this petal has that, and that petal is giving you that power to say Sa. If there is no Sa written in your chakras, you cannot even pronounce it. Simple. And you cannot pronounce any phonetic sound which is not there in these chakras. It is beyond our imagination or ability. So these phonetic sounds, each sound has a particular meaning and it has certain power attached to it. The chakras have these letters written only once. That is, every chakra has certain petals, and on the petal you will see a particular alphabet or a phonetic sound, And this is not repeated in the lower six chakra. So you have about 50 phonetic sounds. But this is again reflected in the Sahasrara chakra, the crown chakra. But each petal is present 20 times more there. So 50 into 20 is about 1000. So when Kundalini Shakti is sitting at your Agya chakra and clearing away your brain centers, say she is clearing away 20 petals which have Ha written on it, then simultaneously what will happen is that one petal which has Ha written in the Agya chakra, that will get cleared out. So that is how the changes of the crown chakra clearing reflects at the lower chakra level. These matrikas are sitting in our Talu Chakra. They have an effect on the way we think, the way we understand the world. They influence our thoughts, our ideas, our speech, our actions, what we like, what we don't like. All these things, preferences come from the influence of the matrikas. They are the ones that put us into Maya, and they are the ones that can pull us out of Maya. They can cloud our consciousness and they can clear the consciousness as well. And they sit here at this level so that they can pull out souls out of Maya or out of illusion. These matrikas, each matrika is again divided into 8. That is 8 into 8. Now we have 64 yoginis. These are the 64 yoginis. These 64 yoginis have emanated from the Ashtamatrika. Ashta is 8 and Matrika. So these 64 yoginis, some are malefic, some are beneficial. They have their own personality, certain traits, there are certain powers. So people who want a certain type of power, certain type of psychic ability can pray to that type of yogini and she will grant them that particular siddhi, or these matrikas will help a person to break through the illusion of Maya. All these conscious energies, they rule over our negative tendencies and positive tendencies. Together they create a condition inside of us and outside of us which is conducive for us to find lasting fulfillment. So they totally control our psychological makeup and the kind of things we attract into our life. They are in total control of it. For example, Brahmani in the Ashtamadrika, she has the ability to put false pride into us and she has the ability to remove that also. Vaishnavi, she can cloud our consciousness with greed and she can release us also from that greed. So these Ashtamatrikas, they are there to serve a purpose, and the purpose is to pull us out of Maya. When we come into this Maya, we need these tendencies within us. Otherwise, we will not participate in the external world. If a person has no pride, he has no greed, he has no hunger, he has no jealousy, he has no anger, he has no negative qualities, then he will not play the game of life. He will be totally detached. He'll be just watching the life as a witness without participating in it, without learning from it. It is only when you participate in it you start learning and growing and evolving as a soul. So this needs that you participate in life thinking that it is real. And that this illusion that this life is real, this Maya is real, comes from these Ashtamatrikas. And once you have played your game, you have learned your lessons. Now you have that sense of detachment from the external world. Your soul has evolved to that level where it has got purified of a lot of the negative tendencies it has, or it has graduated from this level of consciousness. That is when these Ashtamatrikas will help you. They will remove you out of this Maya or illusion. Not only that, they are even capable of giving siddhis. So the many siddhis that people experience in the Kundalini awakening process, that is Anima Siddhi, Garima Siddhi, Lahima Siddhi, Prapti, Prakamya, and then Ishtva and Vashtva. These siddhis are the boons given by these Ashtamatrikas. That is why when people have a Kundalini awakening or some type of a spiritual awakening, they can feel becoming larger in size or very small in size. They become so small that they can go into their body and look at various organs inside their body. They can become very heavy or they can become very light. They can levitate, they can materialize things or attract things into their life. They can even come out of body and astral travel. So the ability to come out of the body and astral travel, there is an exit point at the Talu Chakra level. The ability to command everything, to subjugate everything around you, all these powers, siddhis, they are there at the Talu Chakra level. So these Ashtamatrikas, they further divide into 64 yoginis. These 64 yoginis represent some aspect of the energies of the Ashtamatrika. These are the names of the 64 yoginis. Now these conscious energies that I'm talking about, they are not imaginary. They exist. They are really there. When somebody has an awakening through the vagus nerve, like I described earlier in this video, and they have somehow, change the way in which their body and mind is functioning drastically in one lifetime. The Talu chakra, it becomes active. It is now more accessible to this person because the origin of your vagus nerve is the Talu chakra. So these conscious energies that are there, they will reach out to you when you pray to them, more accessible to this person. And this person can use various methods like chanting the names of these Ashtamatrikas. You have stotras or hymns in praise of these matrikas. You have certain types of tantric practices in which you can access these conscious energies through chanting of mantra, through meditative states, through a tantra path where you are praying to the deity or the conscious energy, and they respond, especially when the Taru chakra is functioning well in your body. Even otherwise, you can still access these energies because these energies can transform you very quickly. Spiritual evolution is a transformatory process. And when you have a catalyst like these matrikas or the 64 yoginis, they can transform you very quickly in one lifetime, even if you have not undergone a Kundalini awakening process. This is the 64 Yogini Yantra. This also can be meditated upon, and there is a practice in how you can use it. So, using this yantra and focusing on the conscious transformatory energies that exist, they're at your accessibility and within reach at the Talu chakra level. When you focus your energies here via the vagus nerve, enhancing your uh, spiritual practices, putting them all in line so that the vagus nerve stimulates, and then you can reach and activate the Talu chakra through the vagus nerve. When you do this, it drastically changes a person in one lifetime and it takes that person into a different level of spiritual ascension. Lastly, the vagus nerve is not the Kundalini awakening path, it is the spine. That is why in the Hindu temples you will see gods holding certain weapons, especially this is Kumaraswamy or Subramanya. He is holding the veil, the spear as a weapon in his hand. And what does this represent? The lower portion of the spear, which is the handle, it represents your spinal cord. And the upper portion of the spear, it represents your brain. So this image represents the idea that the god Subramanya. He controls your spine and brain. And that is why he is even prayed to in the form of a snake, because snake represents the Kundalini energy, and the Kundalini energy in the form of the spear called veil is in his hand. So he is capable of handling that Kundalini energy. So Kundalini energy is not the path of the vagus nerve. So please do not uh, focus your energies on the vagus nerve in case you are serious about your Kundalini awakening. Please focus on the activities that are directed towards your spinal region. Of course, you can use the vagus nerve to undergo a spiritual transformation, especially for those who are caught up in trauma, intense trauma, and though those who are attracting a lot of negative uh, situations into their life, negative experiences into their life. To break through that loop, they can use the vagus nerve. They can activate it. They can pray to the conscious energies of the Talu Chakra and come out of that loop so that they can have a strong body and mind. And they can have a life which they can trust and live from a place of inner peace. Praying to these conscious energies, the 64 yoginis, was a common practice in earlier times in India. That is why even to this day you see their temples in midst of forests and remote areas. Their temples are circular in structure and they symbolize the cyclical nature of life. The 64 yoginis are present in these temples, and in earlier days, people would visit these temples and pray to these conscious energies to uplift them spiritually. Apart from that, these spiritual energies even can give different types of boons or siddhis or powers to their devotees. My focus in this series is to make people understand the various spiritual awakening paths that we have in our body and how they are different from a Kundalini awakening process. So today was about the vagus nerve. This is more accessible to a normal person and they can use this path to transform themselves very quickly. Thank you.